Haeny, how are you?
I'm good.
This is how normal people talk to each other, right?
Yes, I'm
Hi,
good.
how are you? We're talking a little bit about reboots this week. We're talking about specifically the Babysitters Club, which
Do you
is,
know a lot about the Babysitters Club?
one might say I'm a Babysitters Club expert.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm widely read in the Babysitters Club. I've seen the books and
You've seen the books.
yeah, and I've cracked
you
a
read the
cover.
books?
I've cracked a cover or two. No, I never read the Babysitters Club whenever I was a kid because those were quote unquote girl books. I'm quoting myself as a child, and so I never read them. I told you in a previous episode that I read a lot of Hardy Boys, and so it was kind of like when you'd go to the library, you could read the
They're
Babysitters
side by-
Club.
they're close
you
to
could,
each other.
Yeah, you could grab the Hardys. I went to the Hardy Boys primarily, but I've gotten into the Babysitters Club a little bit lately, because my daughter is obsessed with the Babysitters Club. And one reason I thought this topic would be worth spending some time on is because it crosses all this different media, right? So we have the old books that you and I found in the library. We have a TV series on Netflix that started a couple of years ago. And we also have these graphic novels that are kind of rewrites of the original story. So it's like crossing in all these different media.
All they need to do is make toys.
Right.
They just need to make action
Kristy
figures,
action figures?
of BSC.
PSC.
Babysitters Club.
It's so cool.
I know all the lingo.
So what is the Babysitters Club? I feel like you should explain a little bit about what the Babysitters Club is, because
Okay.
I've told you I'm getting exposed to it now, but
Sure.
I'm not an expert.
Okay. I'm not really an expert either, but I'll just go through the old school Babysitters Club from my childhood.
yeah,
So
that's
Anne M. Martin, she's the author. She had a series of Babysitters Club books. I think there's I don't know how many there are. There's
There's 200 and something, I think I saw on the
is
Wikipedia.
that what your Google?
That's what
is that what your
that's
research
what my research
skills
has
did?
shown me.
Yeah, something like that. I think you're right. It started off with only being 4-book contract or something, and it just got really popular. So it centers around four original members, right? Kristy, Claudia, Stacey, and Marianne. And they all have very distinct personalities. I think they're supposed to represent archetypes. And so Kristy is the president of the club, and she's more I describe her as normcore, as someone who just likes to be comfortable with her clothes, and she's the president. She likes to take charge. I think she's bossy in a good way. I feel like we should just reclaim the term bossy.
Absolutely.
But she just has ideas. She takes charge. She knows how to organize people, and so that's who Kristy is. And Kristy is I think her father left, right? Her father left them.
Yeah,
I think her
that's
and
right.
her mom.
Yeah,
because
that's right,
her ongoing struggle is she always has this personal issue about her father leaving. And so her mom's about to get remarried. And so she's going through the difficulties of all of that. And then we have Claudia, who is Japanese, right? And she's an artist, and she's eccentric, and her fashion style is awesome, but stuff that other people could never wear.
No one else can pull it off.
Only she can pull it off. And she's really artsy and just a little bit more free-spirited. And then we have Stacey, and she's from New York, so she's supposed to be the glamorous one who's from the big city. So she's dressed a very...
Just like us.
Just
Super glamorous. Big city.
yeah, but I wouldn't call her fashion glamour. She's more preppy.
Yeah.
Preppy, she's like Charlotte from Sex and the City. Is how I describe her.
I feel like there's a star that's just exploded somewhere in the galaxy when you've just brought the Babysitters Club and Sex and the City together. Some cosmic catastrophe occurs.
Okay. And last is Marianne. Marianne's mother passes away when she was a child, right?
Oof.
And she's kind of really, she's a little bit of a nerd, and she's just very responsible, and she always struggles with not stepping out of the boundaries or rules and stuff like that. But she's also really great. And I actually saw an interview with the actor that plays Marianne, and she has Claudia style.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What a twist.
What a twist. Yes. Okay,
These kids have some some real trauma in their lives.
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. And then we have Dawn, who comes in later. So tell us about Dawn.
Dawn.
Do you know Dawn? Do you even know Dawn?
Babysitter. I don't know much about Dawn. I read a little bit about in book 5, I think it is, where Dawn enters the picture, and she was very organized, and she was very helpful to Marianne to organize her new room to be her own room, her cool room. That's what I knew about Dawn.
Dawn is also from LA.
Oh.
And she has like a West Coast vibe to her. So she's not as high strung as everybody else. But, and she, I don't know, she's kind of like more like hippie-ish because her mom is. So that's Dawn. And she's also very into social justice.
Ah. Nice.
So yeah, so that's what she did at Camp Moosehead is she organized a protest, which was very cool.
Camp Moosehead. Just tossing Camp Moosehead just out there like it's part of conversation that we all have all the time.
Camp Moosehead is their summer camp that they go to at the end of the season. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's a lot. Wow. Okay. So I mean, this is fantastic. That was a very thorough overview of the Babysitters Club. I feel like I know more. One of the reasons we really wanted to talk about this is, in addition to you finally getting to just reveal your passion of the Babysitters Club, is because it exists in all these different media. It exists as an old book. It exists as this television show now streaming on Netflix. It exists in other older television show forms, and it also now exists in this graphic novel format. And that is particularly interesting when we think about media as being this sort of intergenerational experience. And so you have your really kind of rich experience with Babysitters Club when you were younger. And so now a new generation of kids are also being exposed to the Babysitters Club, and they're getting to encounter it in all these different places. Yeah, the television show and the graphic novel. So, being able to think about how people appreciate this, how it connects with their childhood, how people like my wife, who's a huge fan of the Babysitters Club, and also my daughter, who's just now coming to experience it. They get to experience it together and experience it in these different forms.
Yeah. And I think a lot of media and play scholars would call that like the play ecology, right? Like there's things that like all of these artifacts and platforms bring together people across generations and across like every platform that it gets introduced on, garners like a different audience, right? And that audience multiplies and grows and new people kind of get exposed to it. And so, I think that happens in everything, right? Like Star Wars has an ecology.
Huge, huge ecology. One might say a whole galaxy.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like media has a built-in ecology because there's so many different things that are happening in that platform.
Yeah. So. I think thinking about the ways in which we experience these things with the different media is kind of an interesting thing to think about. Like, what is it like to encounter the Babysitters Club from the television show?
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
As opposed to from the books.
Yeah. I don't know, actually, because so that brings up a good point, because I felt like when I was a kid, I feel like the main introduction to building an ecology around something were books, right? And then the next thing is TV, and the next thing was maybe toys. I feel like there's like this progression, and I think what's interesting in like this digital age is that entrance can be so different. Yeah. Right. So like I'm guessing like your daughter Maisie might have watched the television show first.
Yeah, right? For sure. Yeah.
And then moved on to other sorts of things if it becomes an interest, if it becomes like a passion, I guess, for them.
Yeah, totally. And as she became more comfortable with reading, as a skill, then what did she want to read? She wanted to read Babysitters Club because she already had this kind of relationship with the characters and with the story and the world.
Yeah, so. Right. And I think about myself now, how it's like really hard for me to read something first. I like to watch
before
it
you watch
first.
it. I would say 80% of the time I'm a read the book first. Yeah. As I've gotten older and busier, I just don't have as much time to do that. Yeah. And so finally I'm just like, I'll just watch it.
Yeah. I used to be a read the book first person. And then I came into academia. I was like, watch it first, definitely.
I'll take the Cliff's notes, please.
Yeah, exactly. Is this part of my literature review?
I'm totally a annoying nerd like that, or at least I have been in the past. Where, like, for example, when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, I've been a Lord of the Rings nerd for my whole life, and so when those came out, I was very much like, well, actually, I don't know how I feel about this first movie because they changed this, and there's no Tom Bombadil, and but then I watched it again. I was like, oh, actually, this is a different media. It's a different experience, and that's really neat to see the way the story can change to fit this media. And so I've kind of started to really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's such a good point, right? Because we always say like, oh, they didn't do it justice, or it's wrong, or whatever. But who's to say that rendition of it is wrong? It's just an interpretation, right? And a different way of seeing something. Yeah.
I'm curious to take us in a slightly different direction with this particular media, with this particular, I should say, world, right? The Babysitters cinematic, the Babysitters universe, cinematic and otherwise, and print. The television show tells the same stories. This is one thing I find super fascinating about this, is that, like, you can go pick up Babysitter Club 1 and you go watch Netflix Babysitter Club episode 1. It's the same story.
Yeah.
Which is like mind blowing to me. And then episode 2, it's the same story as book 2, and on and on. So, but in the Netflix version, it's like updated to today, right? So it's the same issues. The kids are still dealing with the same, trauma, the same difficulties of being a kid, but they're encountering it in, the late 2010s as opposed to the 1980s. As somebody who's encountered both of these things, you've read the books, you've watched the shows. How do they handle that difference in time period? Like, does that change the stories at all, or are they the same stories?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you. I'm a professional.
Yeah, I feel like it works. And so I think one of the things that we were thinking about is, what is the appeal of babysitters, and why do, using Nathan's terms, why do we find it delightful and also like sad and whatever? Yeah. Because I feel like some of the issues are timeless, right? It's about friendship. Yeah. It's about dealing with illness. It's about death. That's a spoiler.
Spoilers.
It's about death. It's about death and marriage and remarriage and, all of that. So I feel like the issues kind of transcend like whatever time period it is, because it takes me back to being a middle schooler, right? And struggling with those same issues. Like, who are my friends? How am I going to spark community with people? Like, what is it that I really am going to do? And everything that happens in your life is so serious.
Right? Oh my God, yes.
It just like takes me back to that and transports me back. I do feel like the way they tell it is different, and I find that to be really delightful. Yeah. Right? Like that they can text each other when something's wrong, or that they talk about TikTok celebrities, or, I just feel like the updates are really nice, kind of just to see how today's kids kind of handle different situations. And I also feel like I appreciate the way that they like bring in like the ingenuity of this generation, right? And not making them seem like they're idiots or, like children or whatever, but that they're doing something really cool in the world, which I really appreciate.
I like that. I like that sentiment. That's really nice. I will say that when I watch the show, I get very sentimental very easily on the show.
I know, you told me. You said you cried.
I didn't cry.
Yeah, you did. You cried.
Misty-eyed. It's different. It's totally different.
Totally the same.
And it's so ridiculous because it's not like a sad thing happens. It's friends being friends and taking care of one another. And it's just like, it's nice to see. And being an old man, it makes me want to like get weepy about it. Yeah. And then to think about, my daughter enjoying it, my daughter like getting excited, talking about the different characters, and thinking about the context in which that's happening, and this sort of really deep friendship, I think is really nice. So. Yeah. And doing it all with a landline, just like in the 80s.
Or the olden days.
The olden days.
That's a spoiler.
Spoiler. Speaking of spoilers, I think we should introduce our guests.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce our guests for today?
We should. And thank you for letting me do the introduction, because these are some of my favorite people in all the world. First, we have Hannah Holbert. It's not an accident that we share a last name. Hannah is my partner. She's brilliant. She's an actress. She's hilarious. She's also super, super, super knowledgeable about the Babysitters Club. So I thought it was really important to bring on somebody who actually has done their research as opposed to you and I.
Definitely.
And then the other guest that we have with us today is Maisie Holbert. Also, not an accident that we share last name. She is my daughter, the great Maisie Holbert, 8 years old, 3rd grade, brilliant when it comes to making headbands with Pokeballs on them, or cutting out cardboard, or telling me all there is that she could possibly tell me about the Babysitters Club.
Let's get started.
Let's get into it.
And also, it's fun to talk into a microphone.
I don't disagree.
Yay.
It's pretty fun.
Dad sounds like a nerd when he talks into a microphone.
Yes, you know what? He sounds like a nerd.
Because he is a nerd.
With or without the microphone, actually.
You
With or
are
without?
a nerd.
Actually, it's with or without a microphone, Maisie.
He has to kick the ball.
Sorry.
This is something we've been wanting to talk about for a while. And it's something that's a really big deal in my household. And that's the Babysitters Club.
So why did we want to talk about the Babysitters Club?
I mean, other than the fact that I'm a huge fan of the Babysitters Club. I have been a
He hasn't
huge
watched
fan
it.
for years.
No, you're not.
I think your family is outing you and saying you are not a Babysitters Club fan.
I am a regular Kristy. Listen, Haeny, maybe I shouldn't be co-hosting this episode. Maybe our two guests.
I should be co-hosting.
Oh my gosh.
I'll let her co-host.
So,
She might know more
How do
about
you
it than me right now. So,
Well, okay. Can I
know
tell you,
more.
Hannah, though, why I might know more about it than you right now?
because you researched it just in like the past 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
you'd never watched the TV show before then.
I did watch. I watched 2 episodes,
Did you ever read the books when you were young?
I did.
Okay.
but not like an avid fan like you have been. Hannah, did you read Babysitters Club when you were growing up?
I did. I got to it a little late. I was always kind of like, I read better books. And then I started reading teenager books, like after everybody else had stopped reading like the preteen books. And then I
Okay.
got really into them. Like, so I kind of like Benjamin Button it. But then, yeah, so the super specials were my favorite. And I like Stacey the best.
Why?
She lived in New York City and she was super glamorous.
Oh.
And now I live in New York City. I'm like,
And you're
it's not
super
that,
glamorous?
No, it's not that glamorous. But I live with Nathan.
My favorite
Super glamorous
character.
lifestyle we have.
My favorite character is Kristy because she's the boss.
Oh, nice.
And I would not like to wear any of the other people's clothes.
Wait. Say more about that.
Okay,
Even Claudia's clothes?
So Claudia's clothes is so uncomfortable. And
Oh,
Stacey's clothes are so uncomfortable.
yeah. I agree with you on that
Yeah,
one.
definitely.
Way too much
Definitely.
tailored stuff.
Mm.
Then once Marianne does the and Kirsty sticks. Yeah, she has a sweatshirt and things that's much better than that.
So Maisie's style is normcore to
Wait,
the max. Wait, what?
She
don't know
does
what
like
that
to
means either.
accessorize a little like Claudia sometimes.
I mean, I also like Stacey the best too, but I wonder why too. Because as an adult,
when you're a kid.
yeah,
Yeah,
Why
not
do you?
now.
Why is it that we like Stacey when we're kids?
Because she seems glamorous. And you're like, oh, wow. And then, and Kristy's older brother, Sam.
Yeah,
And like, they have crushes on each other, and he's like 15.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, I want to be like her and I want to kiss Sam. And then I watched the TV show. I'm like, how did I ever want to kiss Sam? And I was like, I guess I'm 40 now. But I really want to kiss Watson Brewer now.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of hilarious.
Oh, this isn't hilarious. Gross.
I also wanted to be Stacey too. I don't know why, because I feel like I should have wanted to be Claudia. You know, because she's like Asian, and I
Sorry,
should
I shouldn't have
identify
said
with
that.
that. No, that's what I was going to say. You read my mind. but that I always want to be the blonde, uptight one. Because that always seemed like the desirable one for some
Wow.
reason. Stacey to me felt like I remember when I was growing up, I wanted to change my name to Stacey, and partly because of Fergie too, because she was
Kids
on
Incorporated.
Oh my god! Yes. You totally get me, Hannah.
What?
She was on Kids Incorporated with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and then everybody else was Mickey Mouse Club
Yeah,
from that time. But
totally. But they were on this separate show that was amazing, and all they did was
Kids
sing.
Incorporated, KIDS. Looks like we made it. We're Kids
happening?
Incorporated.
We should need to give him a moment. We need to give him a moment.
And
sit
basically, Stacey was like the cute, blonde, pretty one that I don't think she was uptight then either, but it was like a genre of person that I liked.
A genre of person. I wanted to ask, like, what are the different ways in which we can encounter Babysitters Club? We encounter it in the books. We've got the old series. We have a new series. We have the graphic novel books. Can we start though maybe with the show? Like, can you describe what an episode of the Babysitters Club is like?
Great question.
Yeah, so each one is kind of based on one babysitter. Like the books are.
It's talking in their head also. Mom, what?
And it's like they write in a diary about their babysitting jobs. And so like Stacey puts little hearts over her eyes. And so I used to do that too. But and it's like a problem they're having, but like everybody else is in it. But it's more like in their head. But the super specials is in all the babysitters' heads.
Okay. So I'm curious, since I didn't come to the Babysitters Club until recently. I don't have a childhood experience with it. So I'm curious, the two of you, and also you, Maisie, can you say a little bit about your first memories with the Babysitters Club? Hannah, why don't you start out? What's your first memory with the Babysitters Club?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well,
I mean, she was like 18.
Shut up.
I have one. I have one.
Yeah, Maisie, what's your first memory
It's
with
not
the
the
Babysitters
first
Club?
one, but it's a good one. It's not the first one. It's so mom and me watched the whole first season of the Babysitter Club in one day for some reason.
We did.
The whole season in one day?
It was our first binge together.
We were like,
Wow.
I
Maybe
wanted
our
mom to
only
watch
binge.
it. I wanted to watch it with mom, so I wanted to watch it with mom, and then we got so into it that we just watched the whole season. Also, this is my childhood memory. I am a child.
That is really profound. I love that, Maisie.
It's true. So
Yeah, it is true. She gets to experience a
It is
memory
true.
in the
I-
present.
Yeah, it's true. She is a child.
It's true.
And also, I finished the fifth book today.
Today you did?
Yeah.
What was the fifth book?
It was wait.
Dawn and the Impossible 3?
Yes,
And what was that about?
it was about Dawn because in the one before, Marianne met Dawn, and in this one she's babysitting for the Barons, and they're the Impossible 3. And every time she comes in, the place looks a mess, and then she has this game where she times the kids to see how fast they can pick up all of their toys, and they're trying to break the record.
It doesn't work with my kids.
All right. We're going to ask you a couple of questions, and we want you to give your first answer. Okay?
Okay, so the first one.
Should we do this? Okay.
Yeah. We have to pick. You have to pick one of the babysitters in the BSC.
Okay, for
so
what?
Kristy, Dawn, Marianne, Claudia,
Kirsty.
or Stacey, right? Okay. Your brother or sister is being annoying and bothering you. Who are you going to call to prank him or her?
Can you go first? You go first.
I don't know. They're all kind of like little goody two shoes. I'm not sure if any of them would be fun to prank with.
Yeah.
Or Kirsty. I mean, she wouldn't really care if she gets in trouble. She gets in trouble all the
Maybe
time.
Claudia. It could have to do with paint.
Good one.
And then it would become art,
Curse.
like prank art.
Nice.
Kristy, because she would be fine with getting in trouble. She gets in trouble all the time, and she doesn't even care.
Yeah. So she's of all the babysitters, she's the one that doesn't care about getting in trouble.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so your parents decide to go on a trip, and they're going to let you invite one of your friends from the Babysitters Club. Only one, though. Who do you invite to come on the trip with you?
This is just asking me your favorite character, so that would be Kristy.
Okay.
You think she would be the most fun on the trip, though?
That's a point.
I know it is a point.
Point.
I don't know if she would be the most fun on a trip. I feel like she would have like a schedule and an agenda and make you do things at like 5:05 and 5:06.
Like when it's 4, you do this. When it's 4:30, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Dawn.
I think
Dawn?
Dawn.
Why Dawn?
Well, that's a hard question.
I feel like Marianne would just like really enjoy it, though. She like really enjoy being part of the fun. Don't you think?
Marianne would
Yeah.
be kind of scared of something.
Oh. Huh?
Yeah, so now I like Dawn and Claudia the best. Okay, so Dawn, kind of Dawn for both of us, I think.
Just
like-
She's a free spirit. Maybe we'd do some,
Yeah.
you know, like fun late night, like tarot readings. And
That would be great.
yeah,
I like
Excellent.
you hate that stuff, Nathan.
it. Yeah.
I didn't know what you said, but
Hannah. Yeah.
All right, so we wanted to hear your thoughts on the Babysitters Club as a collection of media. So there's the books, the original books, right? There was a movie, I think. There was a TV series before too, and they actually used the same theme song as the new TV series does. And I can sing it for you if you enjoyed
Oh,
Kids
please.
Incorporated.
Yes.
I
Can
think
you
so.
Say hello to your friends, Babysitters Club. Say hello to the people who care. Nothing's better than friends, Babysitters Club. That's all you're getting.
there's not a theme song in the new one that like I watch.
It's that one. It's that.
No, they don't because they just put on like a
I think
song.
it's the song, that song though,
Like-
without the words.
without the words.
I know the words.
Okay, so I'm trying to get us going on the conversation part.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
So what's your favorite episode of the show or the books?
I like the one when Kristy gets her period.
Kristy.
Yeah, at her mom's wedding.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and she's been like really like, you know, the B word like the whole time. And,
Yeah.
and all
That's
the other babysitters are like there and they like open their purses and like hand her maxi pads and
And
it's
tell her
like,
how
oh
to
my-
put it on.
Yeah, and they're like, "Ah, it's like such good friends.
Yeah, that's a good
I
one.
got a couple more questions. So I'm curious. You mentioned that you guys watched the Babysitters Club show together all at once, and you had a kind of a binge session. I'm kind of curious about that. Like, what do you like about the show? What do you like about watching it together?
I don't know. It was one of the first shows that Maisie watched with me that I think we both enjoyed the same amount.
Yeah, because sometimes I can't really find a show that she wants.
Yeah, and
Like it's hard to be like, hey mom, come on, watch Pokemon with me, or like,
yeah, that's most
Mom,
of the shows, and there's like 15 of them.
And then once she sits down and watches it, she's good with it. She just
Yeah.
sits down and watches it. Sometimes gets a snack, but good.
Did we eat a bag of salt and vinegar potato chips when we binged the show?
That sounds fabulous.
I think we did.
I think so.
I think we did.
that sounds great.
That was nice.
Hey, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for helping us think about and talk about all that is the Babysitters
Do you want to
Club.
ask them what's popping?
Yeah, what's popping for you guys? What's something you're like really into right now? We're gonna start with Hannah. Hannah, what's popping?
I don't know.
Something you're into right now.
I'm really into cutting up my t-shirts.
I could see
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
you're wearing that right now. That's awesome.
I found some YouTube videos about the perfect way to cut a crew neck.
I just
into-
watched some TikTok videos on cutting t-shirts.
and you cut at the hem, and
Nice.
and that's what Maisie's actually wearing one of the
Oh,
sleeves of this
nice.
t-shirt around her head as a
Nice.
headband right now. So
That's awesome. So fashion pro tip. Cutting up your
That's it.
T-shirts. Poppin'.
Maisie, what's poppin' and it can't be Pokemon?
Oh, man.
What's something you're really into right now that you think other people need to know about?
Okay, let's think what I've been... Oh, I got it.
Babysitters Club.
No, not that. Not that. Astro's Playroom.
Say it again.
Astro's Playroom.
Astro's Playroom.
And also Fall Guys.
What's Astro's Playroom?
It's a game on the PS5 that makes you just gets you used to like the controls of the PS5. And then Fall Guys, and it's where you try to get past these challenges that are impossible.
Nice.
Both fun games. Both very fun games.
And
Highly
I-
recommended.
And
Yeah.
I almost won last round, but I was right next to the finish line. But the round ended.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for talking
Thanks for
Babysitters
having
Club.
us. Maybe she got all her talking out of her
And
for
also
bedtime.
you.
All right, crazies. I'll see you at home.
Okay, we love you guys.
No, we'll see you like after we get
Love
off.
you too. First, yes, I've said I love you too. This season of Pop and Play was produced by Haeny and Nathan Holbert, Lalitha Vasudevan, Billy Collins, and Joe Rena Ferry, and assistant produced by Lucius Von Joe at Teachers College, Columbia University with the Digital Futures Institute. Audio editing and production by Billy Collins.
For transcripts and to learn more about our guests, visit tc.edu/popandplay. Our music is selections from Leaf Eaters by Poddington Bear. Pop and Play, of course, would not be possible without the fabulous team that helps put this together. Thanks to Oluwaseun Animation for running the Pop and Play social media accounts, where you should follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under Pop and Play Pod. You can also follow us on Twitch under Pop and Play. Special thanks to Drew Reynolds, Jen Lee, Blake Danzig, Brianne Minato, Moira McCavanagh, and Lucius Vonjo, who all helped with our outreach and or website support. Shout out to Ioana Literat for the trashies. Watch on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.